Alan Wake 2 just shadow dropped some new DLC over the weekend, and being the die-hard Alan fan that I am, I consumed it as quickly as possible. I watch a lot of Salt Factory's videos and have wanted to get into the similar style of edited Let's Plays, but in general my note-taking is terrible. Luckily, this DLC is as bite-sized as they come and is conveniently broken into 3 chapters, so my tiny mind is able to get my thoughts down. I wrote most of this as I played, with the exception being the 3rd episode, during which I kind of forgot to take notes the entire thing. I'll just say after the fact that I thought this was a fantastic DLC. There isn't much going on gameplay-wise, with most of it consisting of unlimited ammo shooting sections and a few puzzles, but stylistically it knocks it out of the park. That isn't to say the gameplay is bad, quite the opposite actually. I said in my original Alan Wake 2 review that I wish there was more combat, and in this DLC it's been delivered to me. It fits really well with the wacky tone too. Most importantly is I think this DLC was expertly timed. It's been long enough since the release of the main game that the cliffhangers aren't really on my mind anymore. I do want more Alan and more Remedy though, in whatever format it comes, and again this DLC absolutely delivers the vibes. This is a fun exploration of different characters we met in the main game, answering some what-ifs and also asking a few questions to get us keen for the next DLC. Overall, I liked it, and I thought this DLC was a lot of fun. Anyway, I'm not the only Alan superfan out there. There's also Rose the waitress. Rose's episode opens up with Dorr giving us an introduction. He gives us the rundown on what it means to be a true fan and what a privilege it is to have purpose. We then open up to Rose talking to herself in a mirror, showing us Alan standing behind her. We're firmly in Night Springs, with Rose calling the Oh Dear the Night Diner. She walks into the room and the diners cheer for her. She is a hero in this town, known for her coffee, bird sanctuary, and Alan Wake fan site. We pick up a pot of coffee and ensure our own unwavering fans are all topped up before putting the pot down. After taking people's plates and then having another chat with them, Rose gets a request from a diner for a great book. She goes out back to have a look when one of those novelty fish starts talking to her. It's Alan, the world's favorite writer, and he needs Rose's help. We go into the kitchen to equip ourselves. This is where Rose keeps her guns, of course. On our way out, we get a huge hero's goodbye as we set out to find Alan, who seems to be right outside of town, doing just fine. Turns out this isn't Alan. It's an evil twin of sorts who has the same model as Scratch Alan. He gets away on a motorcycle, leaving us to fight a horde of Taken to some silly Dukes of Hazzard music. This is fun, albeit a generic encounter that I have a feeling this DLC will have a lot of. The presentation, though, has been top-notch so far, and I did say in my review I wished Alan Wake 2 had a bit more combat, as it's pretty fun. Even more so with Rose's overpowered arsenal. We follow a path through the forest, chasing the evil twin Alan. After killing a few more Taken, we come across a book written by Alan. It's seemingly an Alex Casey novel describing someone chasing a man named Bullets. At the end of the book, it seems to break the fourth wall, giving a message to Rose. A bit further down, we find the motorcycle parked at a cabin. We go inside where Twin Alan keeps taunting us to find him upstairs, but he's not there. He then calls us to come out to the beach, where he tells us that he never had the real Alan. He was just trying to distract us long enough for his army of Alan haters to storm his mansion. Like most evil Allens, he is the insecure part of him that doesn't feel connected to the famous writer's side. He's jealous of his success, and he feels he'll never reach the heights of his brother. We fight through more Taken on our way to the writer Alan's mansion. We get there, and evil Alan is standing there and reveals to us that he is in fact a werewolf. Also, his motorcycle is in fact a werewolf too. This expansion so far has been wacky and I'm loving it, even if it doesn't have much connection to the main story yet. After we defeat the duo, evil Alan yields and Rose gives him a good talking to which he realizes what he's done. He tells Rose to go inside and save the rider before it's too late. We get another fun fight against the Taken inside the old folks' home from the main game. The fights have all been piss easy so far due to Rose's superpowered guns and unlimited ammo, but it's also stylish and fun. I don't mind. Debris flying all around with Rose in her trademarked outfit is cooler than I imagined when I was first pitched this expansion. I should mention, like the main game, there is plenty in the environment to examine for more flavor. We even find Alan's hair care routine, which involves more than a few couple raw eggs. I wonder how many people are going to try this out. I know I'd love Alan's silky smooth too. We get to the spiral room at the top of the stairs and find the writer inside. Rose and the writer embrace, and that's where it ends here. Door comes back to close the episode. Where is the line between fandom and fixation? This was fun. Next up is Jesse Faden. I've yet to finish Control. It's a game I've started several times and fallen off of. I'm not sure why, but this probably isn't the time to ponder that. I have a good idea of what happens in the game and Jesse's motivations, so I think I'll be fine. It's a Coffee World level. The most interesting level from the main game is back, but this time we're Jesse. We start off outside the gate and need to find a password. It seems someone is keeping Jesse's brother Dylan here, and we have to track him down. We're guided by Polaris, the entity living inside of Jesse. Once we're in, we see a bunch of Taken that aren't hostile, yammering on about coffee. Some exploring leads us to Tim Breaker sitting underneath a lit gazebo. He expresses his concern and says that if we insist on staying to find Dylan, we should take a gun and a flashlight. It's very cool seeing the two worlds of Control and Alan Wake colliding. I don't know, I'm proud of Remedy for having this weird-ass idea and sticking to it. It's refreshing. We bop around in Coffee World for a bit before coming back across another locked gate. It's asking for a spoken password, the fourth word in the Dark Triangle Coffee Company's mission statement. We get a few options to choose from, but none of them are the correct one. We've got to go find the orientation video and play it at a TV. We go back to Tim to tell him about the door, and he says he knows where the video is, but it's too dangerous to watch. A shadowy government agency is using the coffee to mind control people, the video too being hypnotic. Tim reluctantly tells us it's on the Ferris wheel and gives us the key to get it started. It's on cup 4, so we have to spin the Ferris wheel until it stops on the ground. We take the videotape to a TV that's nearby and watch it. The coffee speaks to us, wants us to drink, wants us to become coffee. I'm loving the coffee horror here. This cult doesn't feel much different to my local cafe. Anyway, the password is truth. The machine then asks for another verification, the temperature that they roast their dark void coffee at. This sends us off to the coffee roasting machine at another part in the park where we have to solve a puzzle to figure out the temperature. Going back to the intercom, it has one more final request. We are to try the coffee. We can bluff the intercom, but it knows we are not coffee. We have to go to the tasting shack and try the coffee. We get another become coffee type vision and are finally ready to enter the shed. On the way, we find Tim in a bit of a state. He thinks there is something more than just the government at play here and tells us that he accidentally got a mouthful of the coffee, but he spat it out. We go on ahead and go inside the barn, but first we have to deposit our weapons so we can partake in the world's shortest stealth section. There are one or two coffee monsters wandering around which we need to avoid. We grab a warehouse key and go through to find Tim Breaker standing in front of a screen full of matching coffee videos, drinking the coffee and telling us it's good. We go down into the hatch, another coffee Illuminati room, and beyond that a cutscene begins. Jesse walks into a large room to find a man who looks like Alan being held in a magneto cell. It's important to note that at this point it's becoming clear to me that we're not playing as these characters per se, but other versions of them in Night Springs. That kind of goes without saying when we're talking about the Remedyverse, but here Jesse is subtitled as the sibling, while Alan in the cell is the brother. We get another spiel from Door to close the episode about conspiracies within conspiracies. How deep can the rabbit hole go in Night Springs? I gotta mention the credit song they came up with for this expansion is an absolute banger. The chapter closing songs in the main game were mostly misses for me, but they nailed it here. Finally, we have episode 3, who I thought starred the character Tim Breaker, but that isn't the case. Instead, we're playing as Shawn Ashmore, the actor who plays Tim Breaker in this video game. The Mr. Door intro details a man who is many men. Yet, even in this universe of endless parallel universes, this man's destiny is the same in all of them. He's chasing his nemesis, known as the Master of Many Worlds, who is most likely Door himself. We open up in a film studio where they're working on scenes for a video game. We get the delightful reveal that Sam Lake himself is the director of this set. We get some real great Sam Lake goofball content here. This is some weird shit and I'm all here for it. We gain control of Shawn, who then has a chat with Sam, who gives us some much needed exposition on what the hell is going on in this Remedy-verse. It felt like he was explaining it to a 5-year-old, which in a game full of vague mysteries and cliffhangers is so refreshing. We go back to our dressing room, rambling to ourselves, when we find another version of Shawn/Tim lying dead on the floor. Shawn tries to dismiss this as Sam playing a weird prank on him, but then a version of Jesse busts through the door, looking for another version of Tim named Branch. Maybe this was his character from Quantum Break? I'm not too sure, it's another Remedy game I'm yet to play. We get flashes of Door, which seems to teleport us into Cauldron Lake. Shawn tries to come to terms with what is going on, but all we can do is push forward. We come across a cabin, inside a TV with static, and in another room, one of Tim's whiteboards we find him using in the main game. It seems to me that there are many versions of him, he tries to pass on as much knowledge as possible to his fellow breakers. We then have to go down to the lake to sap energy from a floating astral prism. On our way back, we find another dead Tim. Just after this, we're attacked by what seem to be Taken, but upon breaking their light shield is revealed to be more breakers. We take the energy and use it on the TV, which teleports us to a black and white version of the multi-dimensional Ocean View Hotel. If you've played Control or Alan Wake 2, you'll know that this hotel has some funky stuff going on. In this case, we have 3 doors we can walk through, which will take us to different times of day in the hotel lobby. This puzzle took me way longer than it should have, and I'm embarrassed by that. At the hotel lobby desk, there are 3 clocks with 3 different times, representing the order we need to go through them to sap the energy of another prism. All the while, fighting more Tim Breakers. I think there's supposed to be other versions of him that have been corrupted or recruited to work for Door in taking out Tim once and for all. There's a lot to unpack here story-wise, but I think it's important to remember that we're playing a TV show written by Alan. Like all Remedy stuff, it's hard to pass what is real and what isn't, what matters and what doesn't. It all matters, it's just a lot to think about. We also get another song from Artie in Finnish, seemingly chronicling Tim's adventures. Once we've gone through the right door combinations, it's time to go through another TV portal, which brings us into a comic book. In these scenes, Jessie explains to us further how the multiverse works. She tells us there are endless versions of ourselves, telling us that there isn't any real or not real. In one reality, you get exploded by laser beams, in another, you're part of a video game, and in another, you gain superpowers. It's all very confusing, but I feel like we're getting answers, or at least new perspective on how this universe works. We get a bit of an origin story on Door 2. Though how much of this story is real or canon is anyone's guess. He found a horrible parallel reality which created a feedback loop, killing all other versions of him, while at the same time giving him the ability to travel between worlds. Hence, the Master of Many Worlds. Door is devouring realities and leaving them empty husks. He needs to be stopped, and Shawn Ashmore is the man for the job. There's probably a lot of cool Quantum Break stuff that is going right over my head in some of these panels, but it's still fun. I'm certainly happy for the fans of that game finally getting a bit more content, even if the franchise is dead in the water. Well, we've seen movie version and comic book version, now let's get a little weirder. We go into a 2D playable sequence as Tim, Shawn, whatever you want to call him. We fight a few waves of Tims and extract the energy from the prism when Door shows up and taunts us. We go through the TV and come out onto some kind of a beach littered to the brim full of these prisms we've been using to travel around with. We find some manuscript pages before fighting another mess of Tims before going into the TV one last time. It teleports us into a text adventure. Man, what a wild ride this has been so far. This is a choose-your-own-adventure type thing with several branching paths. It's a lot more lore and multiverse stuff I won't go into, but eventually Sean finally reaches the Master of Many Worlds. But it's the wrong one. It's an ASCII Alan. He found the wrong man, but you might have noticed by now, all 3 episodes end with the protagonist finding some version of Alan, but one that is personal to them. Rose finds the object of her fixation, Jessie finds what is most likely her brother, and Sean finds the Master of Many Worlds. And that's Night Springs. I know I rushed a lot of story stuff, but I wanted this to be more of a walkthrough/review rather than a deep dive into the story. There are other, more thoughtful people out there for that. My brain is going to be chewing on this for weeks. Overall, a blast of an expansion that doesn't wear out its welcome. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video.